hey, are you okay? I mean, I know that's a big question, and maybe you're not even sure how to answer it right now. Maybe you clicked on this because you're feeling a little or a lot lost. Maybe you've been waking up and going through the motions or staring at the ceiling, wondering what you're doing with your life or why everything just feels off, like you're floating in the middle of nowhere, trying to grab onto something solid, but there's nothing there. If that sounds familiar, I want you to know you're not alone, not even a little bit. People don't really talk about this kind of feeling enough. That sense of being completely directionless, of looking around at your life and wondering, how did I get here and where am I even going? It's scary, it's confusing, and worst of all, it can make you feel like you're the only one in the world who's going through it. But you're not. I promise you, you're not. I've been there too. So many times, honestly, and it never looks the same twice. Sometimes it hits after a big change, like a breakup, or losing a job, or graduating and suddenly realizing you have no idea what comes next. Other times, it sneaks in slowly. You're living your life, doing all the right things, and one day you just stop and think, wait, is this it? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? And then suddenly everything feels like it's crumbling, even if nothing on the outside has changed. So, what do you do when you feel lost? That's what we're here to talk about, not in a big, dramatic, fix your whole life in one day kind of way, but gently, slowly. Like a friend sitting next to you on a really bad day, handing you a cup of tea and saying, okay, let's figure this out together. And the first thing I want to say is this: it's okay to not have it all figured out. Seriously. Read that again. It's okay to be in a season of confusion, of uncertainty, of wandering. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are simply human. There's this quote I love that says, you're not lost, you're just in the process of becoming. And I think that's so powerful because what if being lost isn't the opposite of being on the right path? What if it's actually part of the path? What if this moment right here, this weird, uncertain, what am I doing moment, is actually the beginning of something really beautiful? Let's explore that idea together. Let's imagine for a second that you're standing in a forest. You've been walking for a long time, following a trail you thought was the right one, but now the path has vanished. There are no signs, no map, just trees in every direction. You don't know where to go. Maybe you even sit down on a rock and think, great, I'm completely lost. But here's the thing about forests: just because you can't see the way right now doesn't mean there isn't one. It just means you need to pause, breathe, and maybe wait for your eyes to adjust. Maybe you'll see a new path. Maybe you'll make one. When you feel lost in life, it's kind of like that. It's not a sign that you've failed. It's just a signal that something in you is ready to shift, that the old way isn't working anymore. And yeah, that's uncomfortable, but it's also powerful because it means you're growing, and growth always starts in the unknown. Sometimes we get so caught up in chasing clarity that we forget that confusion has its own purpose. Confusion makes us stop and reassess. It forces us to question what we actually want instead of just doing what we're supposed to do. It makes us human. It makes us real. So if you're in that weird, foggy in between place right now, I want to ask you something, not in a judgmental way, but gently like a friend. When did you last check in with yourself? Not your to do list, not your to list, not your Instagram feed, not your boss or your parents. You. When was the last time you sat down and asked, what do I want? What do I need? What matters to me? And if your answer is, I don't know, that's totally fine. That's actually a great place to start. Start with noticing. Notice what drains you, what makes you feel small, what makes you feel like you're faking it. And then, just as importantly, notice what makes you feel alive, what makes you laugh even a little, what brings you peace, even for a moment. These are tiny clues like breadcrumbs. And when you're lost, breadcrumbs matter. There's no one size fits all answer for finding direction again, but I've found that sometimes it helps to do something small, something real. Not scroll for an hour hoping for answers, but take one small step, like journaling for 5 minutes, or going for a walk without your phone, or texting a friend just to say hi, or even crying in the shower if that's what your body needs. It's all part of the process. Nothing is wasted. And hey, let's talk about pressure for a second. This idea that you have to know your purpose or your 5 year plan or your next move immediately, that pressure, it's not helping you. You don't have to have your whole life figured out to take the next right step. You don't need a master plan. You just need enough clarity for today. That's it. That's all any of us can really do. And sometimes the next right step isn't about action, it's about grace. Giving yourself permission to rest, to not be okay, to not know. Because wow, we ask so much of ourselves, don't we? Always pushing, performing, proving. But healing and clarity don't usually come when we're sprinting. They show up in the stillness, in the quiet moments when we finally allow ourselves to stop pretending we're fine and just feel what we feel. So if you're tired, like soul deep tired, please know that doesn't make you weak. It makes you real. You're not broken. You're just human. And humans need rest. Humans need space. Humans need time to fall apart a little before they can rebuild. And I know there's a part of you that probably wants to fast forward through this phase, to skip to the part where everything makes sense again. I wish I could give you a remote control and let you do that. But I also know that this messy middle, this feeling lost phase, has its own quiet magic. It's where transformation happens, not with glitter and fireworks, but with softness and slow shifts. You start realizing who's really there for you. You start listening to the little voice inside you that you've been ignoring. You begin to see that maybe your worth isn't tied to your productivity or your clarity or your success. Maybe you're worthy just because you're here, just because you're trying. And speaking of trying, can we celebrate that for a second? You're here, listening, reflecting. That's huge. Seriously. You could have zoned out, shut down, distracted yourself with something numbing, but instead you chose to be present with yourself, to ask the hard questions. That's courage. I know it's not easy. I know some days it feels like you're walking through fog with no end in sight, but I promise you, fog isn't permanent. It might take a while, but the air will clear. The path will come into view. And when it does, you'll be stronger for having made it through. You'll know yourself in a deeper, gentler way. In the meantime, try this. Talk to yourself the way you talk to a friend. You wouldn't tell your best friend she's a failure because she's unsure of her next move, right? You'd hold her hand, make her a cup of tea, and say, "It's okay not to know. I'm proud of you anyway." You deserve that same kindness, that same compassion. So give it to yourself over and over again. You know what else I think gets overlooked when we feel lost? The power of tiny wins. We're always told to think big, big goals, big dreams, big breakthroughs. But when you're feeling lost, those big things can feel impossible, like climbing a mountain in the dark. And the truth is, sometimes the bravest thing you do is just get out of bed, or take a shower, or send that one email, or eat a real meal. These might seem small, but when you're in a heavy place, they're monumental. Every little thing you do to take care of yourself is a win, a real, honest, courageous win. So, what if instead of asking, "What's my purpose?" or "Where am I going with my life?" you ask something smaller, like, "What would feel kind today?" Or, "What's one thing I can do right now that will make me feel 5% better?" That's it, just 5%. You don't have to feel amazing. You just have to keep yourself going, one tiny step at a time. And if you feel like you're stuck in comparison right now, looking at other people who seem to have it all together, please hear this. No one, and I mean no one, has it all figured out. Some people are just better at hiding their mess. Some are just in a different chapter, and some are struggling just as much as you, but you'd never know it from their highlight reel. So don't compare your behind the scenes to someone else's curated surface. Your path is yours, your pace is yours, and it's valid, even if it doesn't look like anyone else's. Also, you don't have to do this alone. I know it can feel like no one understands, like you don't want to be a burden, or like your confusion isn't worth bringing up. But I promise there are people who care, people who want to listen, people who have been through their own lost seasons and would never judge you for being in one too. You might be surprised by how many people are quietly cheering you on, hoping you'll open up. Let them in, even if it's just a little. And if you really feel like there's no one you can talk to right now, that's okay too. Talk to yourself. Write it out. Record voice notes. Start a journal. Get it out of your head and into the world in some way. Because the weight you're carrying, it doesn't have to stay locked inside. It's allowed to breathe. Sometimes the most healing thing you can do is say the words, I don't know what I'm doing right now, and let that be enough. Let's talk about trust, specifically trusting yourself. Because when you're in a lost season, one of the hardest things is not just figuring out what to do next, but believing that you're capable of figuring it out at all. Maybe you've made choices you regret. Maybe things didn't turn out the way you hoped. Maybe people made you feel like your instincts couldn't be trusted. And now you doubt everything. Every feeling, every step, every dream. That hurts, doesn't it? But here's the truth, and I need you to hold on to it even if it doesn't feel real yet. Your inner voice is still there. That part of you that knows what matters, what feels right, what lights you up, it hasn't disappeared. It's just been buried under fear and noise and the pressure to have it all figured out. But it's still there and it wants to speak to you again. Not with big, booming declarations, but in soft nudges, gentle curiosity, quiet urges to try again, to care again, to hope again. Rebuilding trust with yourself takes time. You don't have to rush it. Start small. Start by noticing what drains you and what energizes you. Pay attention to what makes your chest feel tight versus what makes you breathe easier. Let those clues guide you, not to a perfect destination, but to the next step. That's how we rebuild, step by gentle step. And remember, you're allowed to change. You're allowed to be different from who you were 5 years ago, or 5 months ago, or even 5 minutes ago. You don't have to hold on to dreams that no longer fit you. You don't have to be the version of yourself that other people expect. You can let go. You can pivot. You can begin again. That's the thing about feeling lost. It's not always a bad thing. It's disorienting, yes. It's uncomfortable, yes. But it's also an invitation to let go of what's no longer working, to make space for something new, to rewrite the map instead of blindly following one you didn't even choose. And while we're here, can I say something that maybe no one has told you in a while? You're doing better than you think. Seriously, you are. You might not feel strong, but the fact that you're still showing up, still listening, still holding space for yourself, that's strength. That's resilience. That's something to be proud of. Absolutely. Here's the repeated passage you asked for. So here we are, near the end. You've made it through all this time together, thinking, feeling, breathing through the weight of being lost. And I want you to pause and notice something really important. Even when you felt stuck or confused or unsure about everything, you didn't give up. You kept going. You listened to your heart, even if it was whispering. You reached for comfort, even if your hands were shaking. You showed up for yourself in this little moment. And that's not nothing. That's everything. Because being lost doesn't mean you've failed. It doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human. It means life is shifting, and you're right in the middle of that shift. Not because you've done something wrong, but because you're growing. You're becoming. You're peeling away old layers, even if you don't know what the new ones will look like yet. And maybe, just maybe, that's okay. Maybe you don't need a master plan today. Maybe you don't need the answers or the 5 year vision board or the perfect next step. Maybe all you need is to take care of yourself in this moment. Maybe all you need is to feel your feet on the ground, your breath in your chest, and remember that you're still here, still trying, still worthy. You can take your time. Healing doesn't come with a stopwatch. Clarity doesn't show up on demand. Life isn't a race to be won, it's a story to be lived, one messy, beautiful, unpredictable chapter at a time. So let this be your reminder, your gentle permission slip. It's okay to rest. It's okay to not know. It's okay to be right where you are. And when you're ready, whether that's tomorrow or a month from now or even longer, you'll take that next step. You'll try that new thing. You'll reach out to someone. You'll rediscover a piece of yourself and you'll feel a little less lost. Maybe not all at once, but enough to keep going. And I'll be right here rooting for you, always. Thank you for sitting with me today, friend. Thank you for your time, your heart, your presence. I hope this felt like a soft blanket on a cold day or a quiet corner when the world's too loud. You're not alone. You never were. And no matter how lost you feel right now, there is a way through. Take a deep breath, and whenever you're ready, go live your next line. You've got this. Let me know if you'd like it styled into a graphic, script, or voiceover format. So here we are, near the end. You've made it through all this time together, thinking, feeling, breathing through the weight of being lost. And I want you to pause and notice something really important. Even when you felt stuck or confused or unsure about everything, you didn't give up. You kept going. You listened to your heart, even if it was whispering. You reached for comfort, even if your hands were shaking. You showed up for yourself in this little moment, and that's not nothing. That's everything. Because being lost doesn't mean you've failed. It doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human. It means life is shifting and you're right in the middle of that shift. Not because you've done something wrong, but because you're growing, you're becoming, you're peeling away old layers, even if you don't know what the new ones will look like yet. And maybe, just maybe, that's okay. Maybe you don't need a master plan today. Maybe you don't need the answers or the 5-year vision board or the perfect next step. Maybe all you need is to take care of yourself in this moment. Maybe all you need is to feel your feet on the ground, your breath in your chest, and remember that you're still here, still trying, still worthy. You can take your time. Healing doesn't come with a stopwatch. Clarity doesn't show up on demand. Life isn't a race to be won, it's a story to be lived. One messy, beautiful, unpredictable chapter at a time. So let this be your reminder, your gentle permission slip. It's okay to rest. It's okay to not know. It's okay to be right where you are. And when you're ready, whether that's tomorrow or a month from now or even longer, you'll take that next step. You'll try that new thing. You'll reach out to someone. You'll rediscover a piece of yourself and you'll feel a little less lost. Maybe not all at once, but enough to keep going. And I'll be right here, rooting for you, always. Thank you for sitting with me today, friend. Thank you for your time, your heart, your presence. I hope this felt like a soft blanket on a cold day or a quiet corner when the world's too loud. You're not alone. You never were. And no matter how lost you feel right now, there is a way through. Take a deep breath, and whenever you're ready, go live your next line. You've got this.